Okay, so we're going to start with a new module. Make sure you are creating that modules under a branch of features using a give flow guideline, right? So they can start features now, and if you're using the same Git career with me, you should be able to see the same interface. That's how you reach the features branch. Okay, so now you're going to scaffold that module. Just go to command.sh. Okay, you need to go in the protected folders inside the dockers, then you can use the php yic. So now php yic boilerplate create, then you pass in the name of your module. So the scaffold boilerplate will auto convert the name to the code format. So now the module is created, just one line of command, very simple, and you can see it in your editor now. So the first thing you want to edit is the about.yaml file under your config folders. Right. Let's give a proper one-liner so any one who saw this module will understand what it's doing. Okay, the date also you might want to change it to the today date. Some of the information you may not need it, you can remove it. Okay, the main console, these are the required configuration files to get the module running. So there's a readme.md. You can use the markdown format to record the changes you made, or any information instruction you want to give to other developers. Okay, now this is the job module. So this is the core file of your modules. All your features will be implemented here, as in how it integrate to others system or modules. Alright, so the function that we should start is the install db function. So this will populate the very first version of your database required by your module. As you can see, there's already sample code given in the command forms. Just uncomment them and modify from there on. So here we want to check if the tables of job vacancy exist or not. If it exists, then and it's a force reset command, then we want to drop the tables before we create it. Right. So now we are populating all the columns of job vacancy tables. Okay. So you can create the indexes in the code as well. Right? This follow the migration documentation, so you can get all the information there actually. Okay, so we have two indexes here. First we'll set to the organization ID, then the second one will set to the title columns. So both also have the non-unique index columns, hence you have the false parameter at the end. Next we are creating the foreign key, so this will set the foreign relationship of tables. We want the organization ID columns to link to the organization tables in the database. So that's how we do it. So all the naming you have to get properly. Notice that I'm using dash and underscore for different purposes. So this will be the table name, organizations, linking to the foreign key of ID, right? Now let's refer to the job portal we have, which is what we're going to replace with our job module. I just want to refer to the columns that we should create in our database. Yep, so now I refer to another module called CV. So this module allows anyone to post their portfolio up there. Later we'll match them with the job we have. So there's some similarity in this module with our job module. Let's refer to the table structures. So there's a certain database tables standard that we follow, right? For example, there's an ID, there will be a date added, date modified, and is active, right? So these are the expected columns that will appear in most of the tables inside Central. So why we use active? Because we do not want to remove the data completely from the database. Right, when the admin removes something, then we'll set it to is active equal to 0. In this way, we can still restore back the data if required. And now we are working on the job location. As you can see, it's a multiple choice questions. Okay, so we populate the necessary booleans data. Visa sponsored. Okay. So there are a few text area here, as you can see, responsibility, about the job, even qualifications or job requirements. Yep. So we don't need the company logo and name and everything else. Those should come from the organization tables that we link to. Okay, we need the email address and company website to contact if the applicants are interested in the job. So you may notice that some of our fields also have naming conventions like text underscore, email underscore, is underscore. So we use these naming conventions to guide our code generators, right? Later I will show you how to generate all the backend code. Right. So make sure you clear that which field is required and which one is optional. Right. And you can also refer to our eBase documentations. Right, so eBase is actually the base layers between eFrameworks and the OpenHub layer. Right, so you can refer to here on how to create values, right, and all the other examples that's available that will be helpful in your migration code. Okay, so we label all these foreign key, as you can see. It makes some of the jobs easier. And these are a more complete data structure, right, that we have come up with. So you have an employment type, which is an enum. Can be a permanent or contract jobs or anything else. Yeah. Then we have HTML. So this one will display as a HTML editors to the users. Next, we have this location informations, and then the Boolean data we have. Number of vacancies, salary, email apply, CSV, keywords. Yeah. So as you can see, this is a pretty much completed table structure. Right, status. So we start with the new for any new record. So that's how you redefine it using the outer columns functions. Admin user IDs will point to the users tables to record who actually processed the records. Okay, so that's all the indexes we have, and now we are looking at the foreign key. User ID, organization ID, job post, groups, country code, state code, admin user ID. So they are all configured properly to link to the foreign tables. Right now we have to create a build data, metadata files to instruct our code generator to build accordingly. So it has to be under the data folders here. And the names will follow the table's name, then with followed by a file extension of build.php. Okay. So what I normally do is I will refer back to the documentation and copy the samples of these build files and modify from there on. Okay, so page title, this one will be a human readable title about this module tables, and the module code is job, of course. Allow meta, do you want to allow flexibility in terms of extending the data structure without modifying the tables? Okay, then the admin list now is like, okay, what column that we want to display in the admin page. So I want to display the slug, the titles, and probably the status as well. Okay. Then you will change the default sort orders. So instead of using the ID, yep, that's fine. We just stick with ID. So all these configurations are pretty much self-descriptive based on the name. You know what they're going to do. Right. Some data we want them to show in the form, some we want it to show in the search, some we don't need. So it all can be configured here. So for enums data type, we need to define it properly here. Right. So make sure all the enums is defined properly. So the key will be the default value in the database, where the value will be the how you want to display it in the form to the users. Okay, so what's the next data we have? We don't need the external code. Can remove that. Let longs. Yep. Now let's look at the foreign key. So the foreign key relationship had to be defined here as well. So foreign refer means if other tables referring to this table, how you want to display as a drop down. and the generator also support many-to-many relationship, but we are not using it here, so probably we can remove that. Taggings, yeah, we are not using that as well. Let's comment it out. Okay, so now we go to the backend. It should appear in your modules interface. Right, so you need to initialize it. So when you initialize, you actually call your install.db functions. And now the database are created. Okay, now we are double checks the database. See if the table is correct or not. Yeah, so it's created as what we instructed, right? And make sure the index are configured properly as well. And last, the relations tables. Yep. Cool. Now we are loading into the YE generator. Notice the URL is /YEE, and of course we want to generate the model first. So key in the table names, which is job underscore vacancy. You auto convert to the camel case model name, and don't forget to insert the correct module names and path. Okay, so are you going to let's take extend class. Okay, generate previews. Right, so you're seeing that you're using the correct data build files and generate. Okay, next we proceed to generate the CRUD. Make sure you using the correct model class. If it's inside a module, you have to include the module path as well. Job vacancy, for this we don't want to repeat it, so we can just actually just rename to vacancy actually. Okay, let's generate these files. Okay, so you can see the model is generated properly and all the controllers are there as well. Last will be our views. Okay, let's try this. We know is the module is called jobs and vacancy /admin. Let's see what it has. Okay, good. Create vacancies. Yep, all the forms is automatically created for us. Okay, so we don't want the admin user to be in the forms. So let's set incident from inform is equal to true, and right, we will want to regenerate this again. So as the process by also date process should not be shown there. So after regenerated, you can see it's yeah, they're all gone. Nice. Okay, next we will want to add the menu items to the backend navigation bar. So you can refer to the OpenHub wiki on how to do it. So we want to add it under the service. So it's actually you have to refer to the functions get nav items. You need to create a switch case of a backend service. Here's the sample code. You can just copy it and modify from here on. Okay, looks good. Let's double check with the challenge one, see if we done it correctly or not. Okay, so we need to replace the way how we check the sessions. Okay, now let's test. Right. After refresh, you should see these menu items, and clicking it will bring you to the job admin page. Thanks. So, see you again.